Hi, I'm Suzanne Powell, and I have an Alexander Technique teaching practice here in Albuquerque and Uptown. And I know pain, tension, and stress. In fact, my best friend who just gave birth actually said, "You know, Suzanne, I was not in much pain giving birth as I saw you were in the few years that we were living together in an apartment." So from about the age of 21 to 32, I had chronic illnesses. I was diagnosed with such things as interstitial cystitis, IBS, chronic tension headaches. I had knee injuries from snowboarding. I could no longer jog. TMJ syndrome. All different kinds of joint pain, muscle pain, because I was a personal trainer and a yoga instructor. I also had a computer job as well, sitting for long periods of time. And the Alexander Technique actually helped all of these dissolve. And why? Because an Alexander teacher can lead you through an experience of not using your habitual patterns, because our habitual patterns we do every day, whether we're working, doing the dishes, exercising, and these actually affect the functioning of our entire self, mind, and body. So this is a picture of me. The before is about 7 years ago. I was studying yoga therapy, teaching yoga, teaching weight training, and you might see from my t-shirt, it's a dark picture, that there's some collapsing and twisting going on, one shoulder's higher than the other. And of course my teachers noticed this and tried to help me become aware of it, but the issue is that it feels right to me. It's my habit. And if I were to try to, I'll just sit up straight, that causes, you actually use your habitual patterns to do whatever you're doing to try to come out of whatever you're doing. So as you see, I'm kind of sitting here on my digestive organs. So it makes sense why IBS and acid reflux went away, because when you're sitting on your organs, they actually cannot function properly. Here's an after picture, and whenever you undo tension patterns, natural buoyancy is there, just like infants who are not taught to sit up straight. They just do because they're not interfering with their natural functioning. Another principle of the Alexander Technique is that mind and body are not separate. So since we believe that when we're working on someone, it helps mental and physical functioning. In fact, when I had my first lessons, I was going because I was in so much pain, and this teacher said she could help. But what I was really impressed with was that after lessons, I was very self-confident, knowing who I was, and the mental clarity that I felt after lessons, and that's what got me into a teacher training course. So the Alexander Technique is a profession that requires a very high level of hands-on skill. I went to school full-time for 3.5 years, logged over 1,600 hours to become certified. And so what is a course of lessons like? In a course of lessons, I guide someone through gentle movement. Perhaps it's their everyday movement that they do at work, or we usually start with sitting and standing because it's something that all of us do multiple times a day. And my hands are what's guiding someone to understand what's interfering with their natural functioning, and they slowly become aware of that. And it becomes, so a new habit is burned into their brain, so it makes new neural pathways in the brain, and that is what does the change. So old habits are replaced with new habits, and once you learn the Alexander Technique, it's yours for life. So you only have to come for 35 to 45 lessons to learn it, and you're good for the rest of your life. The Alexander technique also helps you respond to life, because a lot of times our habits are responding to certain situations. So you learn how to respond differently to undo that pattern. Being moved without habitual patterns is something probably maybe all of you have never experienced. I certainly had not experienced it even through all my yoga and personal training that I did. So I would need a volunteer to experience the work. I'm going to have you sit maybe in this chair or a smaller one if you're shorter. And I'm going to move you through sitting and standing. Is there anyone willing to be a volunteer? Okay, you raised your hand first that I saw. I can't work on someone with a microphone at the same time, so I'm going to do this silently, and you can just watch any changes that you notice. What's your name?
Melise.
Melise? Melise. Okay, Melise, let's see if this chair is too high for you. Can you sit like you're sitting on this stool? Yeah, it's too high because I need your feet on the floor. I'm going to pull this over.
Where the other was. All right, let's get this. This other one out here. Oops.
Yes. Okay, and your name was one more time?
Melise.
Melise. Okay, I want you to sit and stand, Melise, a couple of times, and just notice what you notice. How do you feel? Is there something that kind of aches when you do it? What interesting movements do you notice? And the audience can quietly also notice what they notice.
I notice pulling in the right side of my back and hip when I stand up. That's probably the biggest thing.
Okay, good. So I'm going to work with her silently for a minute. I'll have you sit at the front of the chair so that your skin moves or grounded. I'm just going to follow my subtle patterns with my hands. So in a moment, I'm going to stand you up, and you're just going to follow my lead. And maybe step back a little bit closer to the chair. And bring your legs out into the bed.
So the side that was tight and was holding is now loose, which is pretty amazing because I didn't really feel you were doing anything there.
So I was helping you release some holding patterns. not necessarily directly in your back, but the whole self affects, one affects the other. So something else released that helped that release. And audience may have noticed some different patterns as well. I see some nodding. So you just burned new neural pathways in your brain for a new way to move. So that is something that you may notice continuously. Okay. So changes I've seen in my clients. I had a lady that holds instruments over a surgery table at the hospital for many hours a day. She was in pain from holding those instruments over the operating table. She came to me, had 33 lessons, and she's no longer in pain, and she can do her job in surgery. Also had someone with scoliosis, had very painful scoliosis, and was able to come out of a lot of those patterns that were causing scoliosis, and so now she is able to manage that condition and is actually a lot straighter. People breathe better, their voice gets better because all of this affects the torso and where the breathing apparatus is. Knee pain, foot alignment, more self-confident. Just incontinence improving, just all kinds of things that you would think are obviously caused by functioning how we use ourselves. So the Alexander technique is not well known with the general public, but if you went to a high-end art, dance, or music school in Europe or in New York or California, your curriculum is required to do Alexander technique classes. But I want to bring it to the general public. I mean, I do work with dancers and musicians as well, but for me, I was just an average person. I didn't see myself as an artist, and it really helped with my pain. So what I'm doing is I'm doing introductory workshops at UNM Continuing Education and High Desert Yoga. And because a lot of people have not heard of the Alexander technique, they don't, think that it is effective, or they don't know what it's used for. They say, oh, it's for voice, oh, it's for dance. But it's undoing habits that are getting in your way for proper functioning. So I'm looking for ways to reach more students. People don't Google, oh, I have back pain, so I'm going to Google the Alexander technique. But there have been studies recently done at the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins proving that it is very effective. So I'm hoping that that will change soon. I have a workshop coming up at High Desert Yoga, March 19th. That's my next one. I have many coming up this year. A new market I'm getting into is doing continuing education, for example, for social workers and massage therapists. And any other ideas that you have to spread the word about the Alexander technique, I am open to listen. So please let people know that there is a healthy, self-empowering solution to end pain long-term that is sustainable, and you take control of the lesson. So you're taking control of your own health. Thank you.